easy questions, I must say.
When you going to take the English lessons?
And this is the young man who's got the microphone. You're going to have to just, you know, chase around there to make sure he gets your question. Get your hand up if you see him looking around, please. He's the one with the mic. Thank you.
It's about 2 minutes till we go on air now. This is BBC Radio Solent Sport. We're live from the Milan Mandaric suite here at Fratton Park. It's the 15th Pompey Fans Forum. Almost 400 people here this evening. A record attendance inside the chairman's own special room at the ground. Over the next hour, they can pop just about any question you like really to the panel, as long as you keep it clean. Anything about this famous football club at all that you want. Of course, it's less than 48 hours now until Portsmouth kick off their third season in the Premiership. The visit of Tottenham Hotspur here to Fratton Park. Pompey, of course, the only South Coast team in the Premiership. Without further ado, let me introduce you to this evening's panel. First of all, on my right, a man who rescued Portsmouth from administration just 6 years ago now. A charismatic leader who only recently told me the kingdom of football has landed at Fratton Park. Held in high esteem by the fans and now starting his 7th season at the helm. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of Portsmouth Football Club, Mr. Milan Mandaric. The man, I suppose, behind the deals, the dotter of I's, the crosser of T's on those famous player contracts. A man that's helped to assemble, I suppose you would call the most cosmopolitan squad in Portsmouth's history. It's Portsmouth Chief Executive, Peter Storrie. To Peter, also on my left-hand side of this top table, a man who used to put the fear of God into football defences up and down the country with Leeds United and Manchester United, of course, in the 70s and 80s. One of the best centre-forwards to wear the Scotland jersey in the country's history, of course, representing his country at 3 World Cup finals. He's been manager at Hearts, Stoke and 2 spells at Bristol City. He's now the first-team coach at Portsmouth. It's Joe Jordan. Last but certainly not least, completing the panel and representing the playing staff this evening, on the far right of the top table, one of Pompey's costliest ever players, a wholehearted defender, a fan's favourite, and the likely new captain for the new season that lies ahead. A player who only recently expressed his desire to manage Portsmouth should the opportunity arise one day in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dejan Stefanovic. We will get down to business just as soon as possible, but just to set a flavour, get the ball rolling, I suppose, I've been searching around 1 or 2 of the headlines in the local newspaper since we last sat at this top table just 12 months ago. Harry's tears of farewell. Crisis time is another one from the local newspaper. We've got the new Cluffy in charge, a reference there to Mr. Alan Perrin, the club's manager, who sends his apologies this evening. He's on business, no doubt, trying to secure another deal. It's the stuff of dreams. We all remember beating Southampton. There's one here of Lamar and Loire doing one of his favourite somersaults. That made the front of the newspaper. Wow. And a rather strange final one here. Boing, boing, boing. A Portsmouth supporter holding a West Bromwich Albion scarf. Next to me, Milan. It's been an emotional year. Is the light at the end of the tunnel now?
Well, finally it is. Previously I've seen the lights through the tunnel, but was the train coming from the other side. This time I hope it's not only light, I hope we are on the other side of the tunnel, and you know, I'm quite sure I'll have plenty of opportunity to answer your question about the year, about time, but it's a good time. It's a good time that we're having, and I think we deserve it. We've been working very hard, we've been loyal, devoted, committed, and if anything, we deserve better time than what we had in the past. So I'm very happy for all of us here.
Next to me, yeah, by all means. Next to me, Peter Storrie, the club's chief executive, just running through the 7 players that arrived. Peter: Andy O'Brien, Lauren Robert, John Biafra, Gregory Vignal, Collins Mbasuma, Azar Karadas, and Sander Vesterdahl. You've been busy.
Yes, it's been hectic, but I have to say it's been well planned. You know, we've had these targets for some time. It's not been like previous years where it's been you know, what agent rings and then we're buying. This has all been planned out, detailed. We know exactly what we were looking for, and I'm delighted to say all the targets we went for we've managed to get. So they're all good players. It's a very, very international squad now. You know, probably the plan I'll tell you later, we're going to lose all of them next week to international games. But that, I think, shows how far Pompey have come on. You know, if every player is going to go on international duty next week, we've got a pretty good squad.
Next to you, Joe Jordan. Joe, you've been out to France with the squad pre-season training. Alan's had the players 2 training sessions a day. They've been in the sea. They've done a bit of bonding. Has it gone well?
Yeah, I think it's going well. I think one of the main factors is that when you accumulate, you get new players to come in. I think you want to get them to know each other, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And I think it's important you want to get the majority of those players in at a time where you can do that. And we've been fortunate. The only one was Collins, and that was held up because of his visa coming in. But he's here now, and we want to get him into the fold. And the other thing is to get the players to know each other on the field and to come through that training unscathed. And I think the manager's done a good job there, because we've only got 1 or 2 CC and Lindborg Primaries are the only 2 players that have got any type of injuries. So thankfully that will continue, because it is important to keep everyone fit.
At the end of the table on my right, Dejan Stefanovic. Welcome, Dejan. Thank you for coming. Are you the captain for the new season?
Yes. I don't know, but look like I'm ready for that challenge. I used to be in Holland for 2 years captain, and it's not new for me, you know. I'm ready for that challenge.
What about this 2 training sessions a day? Have the players responded well to it?
To be fair, it's a little bit different than what used to be, you know. In England, I think every team got 1 session a day, but here is a little bit different now under the new manager. But which is good, you know, for pre-season. Our fitness level is at the moment at top level, and we are ready for first game for sure.
Okay, that's the gentleman on the top table this evening. It's your turn now. Enjoy the evening, as I say. The first question of the night will come from a Mr. Ian Dykes from Horndean, and it's a question about the capability, the potential of Portsmouth this season.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. By the time the transfer deadline closes, do you think Portsmouth will have a squad capable of finishing with in the top 10?
Can we put that one first of all to Joe?
Well, it depends where your squad's going to finish, but I think you set out the season. I think the majority of teams within the Premier League set out to get that magic figure of 40 points, and I don't think that will change in respect to our outlook. That doesn't mean to say you don't look further forward and that once that target is reached. But we all know what football can happen. Players getting injured, and you said yourself out, and you have on paper looks a fantastic squad. But then after 1 or 2 disasters where you get players who get injured, and you find yourselves that you don't have that great squad that you first started with. So that's the first thing that I would, on behalf of the manager and even the players, I think they look at that, set their stall out, get their 40 points as quickly as they possibly can, and then see what we can go from there. That's what Everton did last year, and they had a fantastic season. But I know it's because I've got friends there, and that is their first priority this season as well. Even though they did exceptionally well, is to get that 40-point mark.
Dejan, I've got a betting slip in my hand here. Should my money be racing off down to the bookie shop? Can Portsmouth finish in the top 10 this season?
I think yes. With 2 or 3 new signings, what Jeremy said, you know, we got lots of quality players, international players in the club, young potential players for the future, and I said again, with 2 or 3 new signings, we can finish at top 10.
Okay, let's throw it over to the floor. You've got a red card and a green card to let the listeners know at home. They'll be voting on various issues and topics throughout the evening. All of those that feel that Portsmouth will finish in the top 10 this season raise a green card, and all of those that finish below raise their red card. Just looking across the room, it does look as though there are slightly more green, I say 2/3 green cards, and the chairman is raising the number plate with colour. Will finish in the top 10 this season with the astute dealings that have been made in the transfer market. Okay, another question from the floor. It comes from a Mr. Robert Kirk. He's from Lovedean, and it's a question on the ground.
Good evening. Question on the stadium. The 106 agreement was signed last December. Why has it taken so long to get to the demolition stage that we're at now? And has the club got enough money to build out the stadium project?
Peter Storrie.
Well, that's only one part of the agreement. Once you get the 106, you've got to go through 3 months judicial reviews. That took us into about March time. Then we've got a lot of legal hurdles to get over from there. And then when we came to the decision, as you know, not to do it early, and so people were looking 50 or 60 metres away from the pitch, there was no point starting too early, because if we did, the stand would have been finished in about January time. Wonderful facility sitting at the back of the current North Stand, unusable, and our money would have been sitting in the Bars Construction's bank account rather than in their own, so that just didn't make common sense to do that. So the timing was obviously put so that we start now. This will take about 5 weeks, I think, to knock everything down. Then Bars will come on site and it will start flowing through, so come June the North Stand will be ready. The cash position will be perfect. No point putting the money in Bars' account.
Is there an end date on the overall project at the moment, Peter?
It's pretty well similar to where it was. As I said, the first part will be the North Stand and the northwest corner. They'll be done in one. They'll be all ready sort of June, July next year. The extension to this current stand is obviously quite a simple job. That will be done between June and August. But once that's done, we will then start on the northeast corner and the east stand, so that will run through the following season. So I would say it'll be all finished around about March 2007.
Chairman is next to me. Chairman, you've done the hard hat today, got in the digger and bashed about a few bricks.
To respond a little bit to your question about financing, if I tell you that raising the money and putting the money, it was not picnic here, because what happened to these football clubs, we've been victim of what happened in the past several years. We're victim of what happened to Leeds, to Leicester, and Coventry, Derby, and you go on and on and on, where they build beautiful stadiums and their organizations fall apart. They weren't able to pay the loans, they weren't able to pay their bills, and now all those organizations and financial institutions says, well, sorry, we don't want to touch football with 12-foot ball. So here we are, newcomers, we think we're so great, we're so handsome, we're so nice, we're going to get all this money. No, it doesn't work that way. So to answer your question, yes, we secure that when we will have that money available for us, but it was not picnic. It doesn't come when you have to raise and put in another 35 or plus million pounds, you know, for the new facilities that is not producing anything for the time being. It's not easy, but I'd like you to sleep easily and nicely. It's all done, it's all there. Okay?
Does that answer your question, Robert? Yes. Is there anybody else that would like to follow up on the issue of the stadium at all, that they'd like to pose a question? There's a gentleman at the back with glasses, and there's another chap over there by the pillar, Steve, wander over. If you could start by giving us your name and where you're from, please.
Yeah, Andy Withers from Gosport. I supported the application, and I wrote into the local authority. I received a letter back saying you got planning permission for 35,000. I see all the literature that it's only 28. Are you planning to extend to 35 and give us a bigger stadium than set up on the road?
Yeah, and 28 is the first stages of the development. That's the new North Stand, the extension to the tie, and the new East Stand. To get to 35,000, we put an upper tier on this stand, and then that will complete it around to 35. So that will be the third stage of the development.
complete ball.
It'll be a complete bowl then, because then obviously we're joining the corners then into the current south stand. Not much we can do about the south stand other than, you know, just improve its profile a little bit. Obviously there's a lot of houses directly on the back of it with gardens, so there's not too much we can do there, but we're making it look a little bit nicer than what it does, and linking the corners, so it'll look very nice.
Just one more question on the stadium.
Milan, last year when we were here, you said that somebody else would put 49% and you'd be happy with that. Have they actually done that to give us this stadium? And are you building the stadium on your own, or have you got a secret backer who's helping you out?
Why? Are you ready to spend some money? No, we're, you know, it was, I know some of you raised the question, why it took so long? Yeah, of course it took long, but it took a lot of hard work by Peter, financial guys, a lot of people from advisory board, and we all worked very hard, and financing was a big issue, because even if you want to get the big loan, I was always against it, you know, because one day when I leave, I don't want to leave you with a huge loan paying, you know, and go through the same thing what Leeds doing, what other clubs doing. So what we did, you know, through our Pompey village and commercial things, we'll be able to raise the money and make the profits eventually that will apply all the profits in the stadium. That's how we're going to reduce the bill and pay for it. But meanwhile, yes, we don't have anyone. We don't have a third party. We don't have anyone that really is willing to spend the money. And you know, but to be honest with you, we didn't really look for any third party at this time. We tried to look for a financial institution that can trust us and give us a loan on temporary basis, and some of the loan, and it's all secured, but we don't have, again, anyone that would come in and take the piece of the auction or anything like that, but you don't have to worry, you will have the stadium, will be done, will be not overburdened either, you know, which is the great thing to have our neighbors down to, Joyce, what's the name of the other club? Okay, they got the 25 to 30 million debt paying their stadium, okay, and they have a nice facility, it's all nice, but when you have to pay that every year, the big money for next 15, 20 years, it's not easy, and that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Milan, can you give us a cast iron assurance that you will be there for the official opening of the brand new stadium, 35,000 fans come that glorious day?
Well, I can only give you assurance that I will probably live here for the next 2 hours, and what happened after that, I'll give you, you know, I always gave my commitments to our supporters, and you know, we'll do everything humanly possible to make things happen, and it's there, you know, if you look at back, you know, when I came here first year, there was a lot of questions raised. He says, how long are you going to be here? You were in Nice only 2.5 years, you know, you were there, you're not going to stay with us. I said, well, I'm going to stay till I come through with my commitments, and that's really what is all about, commitment, and the relationship we develop together from the day one will carry us through. So, you know, let's put it like this, I've been working very hard together with the rest of my staff, and why shouldn't I join once we have the stadium, if we maintain our, not if, we will maintain our, I mean, premiership status, and we can enjoy it at that time. So I'd like to be one of those who can enjoy that.
You're listening to You're listening to BBC Radio Solent Sport. It's the Pompey Fans Football Forum, live from Fratton Park, with Milan Mandaric, Peter Storrie, Joe Jordan, and central defender and likely captain for the new season, Dejan Stefanovic. We're live on 96.1 FM, 103.8 FM, Hampshire Digital Radio, and bbc.co.uk/Hampshire. So overseas and up country as well, we've got fans listening worldwide. A question for you, Dejan. Assuming that you do get the responsibility as the new captain, are you relishing that challenge? And have you been watching videos of Defoe, Canute, Milan?
It's not first time to play against great players. You know, I used to play against a lot of big players in Premiership, in Holland for national team. Of course, you know, to be captain is a little bit responsibility, more responsibility for myself, you know. But I tell you right now, I'm ready for that challenge, and you know, I'm looking forward for first game on Saturday against Solent, Tottenham.
An email question which has come in from Mr. Ian Godden. He's a North Stand season ticket holder from St Albans in Hertfordshire, and he's asking, why was it necessary to keep the loan details of Laurent Robert and Diamanti Camara quiet, and will Robert be allowed to face Newcastle in both games in the forthcoming Premiership season? I think that's a question for Peter Storrie.
Well, it's pretty simple. If you do an agreement with a club and they want to keep it confidential, then that's what the agreement will be. And, that's what Newcastle asked us to do. They had a particular problem, obviously, with Robert, and that's what they wanted to say. So we will go along with the agreement that our priority was to get the player. You know, with respect to anybody else, that was the key to it. We wanted the player. Whatever Newcastle wanted to say, we were very happy to do. With Kamara, it was a different situation. It worked out to be a very, very good option for us because we had the opportunity to watch a player that we knew very, very little about. And therefore we had him here for a year, and the management then made a decision whether they wanted to retain him or not. It's a perfect scenario. Personally, I'm all for these options and loan options, particularly with players coming in from abroad, because Dejan will tell you, some players settle down when they come into another country, some players don't, you know, and therefore it makes it easier on all parties. So personally, I'm in favour of them.
Let's throw it to the floor. What do the supporters feel? Green cards and red cards at the ready. Do the fans feel that you should be kept fully informed about the details of player transfers in every respect? Those that feel yes, raise a green card, and those that think it's quite right that certain aspects should be kept confidential, raise a red card. Pretty much a cross-section now, I'd say it's 50-50, so it's not an easy issue to address. Okay then.
I think there is one thing that I like to share with you. When we deal for the new players, we have a lot of competition. We have a lot more competition than Chelsea, Liverpool, and on and on and on, probably 6, 7, or probably 10 clubs in the Premier League. So anything we can do behind the closed doors and try to work as long as we can to not be leaked out, we have better chance to be successful. We last 2 years lost so many players because we dealt outside publicly. We went on website, we newspaper found right away, and it was a difficult one. So I'd like you to understand, you know me, it's always open door policy between you and me and between you and club, but there are some things, you know, you have to understand. We're not hiding from you, but we're working very hard to secure the player, and sometimes it was the case in several players we had this year. We worked very, very quietly. We traveled around the country to sign John Villafara. If we announced to the world, we had the 2 clubs already there on him. And if we announced to the rest of the world, we probably have 3, 4 other clubs. So we secure his services and then we announce that. And so please understand that there's nothing to do, we're hiding with that. We have nothing to hide from you. You are part of us, we're in together, as I always say. But sometimes when you do this kind of business, it's very sensitive, you know, especially with us, you know, we're still not, you know, there where the Liverpool and other clubs are, so we can demand, you know, a lot more respect with some of the players, some of the clubs, but it's to our interest always not to go out and say we are interested in this player, that player. Please understand that. Thank you.
Just staying on the theme of transfers, Peter Storrie is next to me, and Peter, I understand you have some pretty positive news that we've had today.
Yeah, it's nice to say that a player that I think everybody loves here played probably one of the largest parts in getting us in the Premiership. He's been injured for a long while, but we've agreed an extension with Tottenham today. So. He's fit, looking well, and needs to go out and get some games. So you know, don't be surprised if you see he's going to go out on loan for a while. But he needs to go out to play games, and then obviously, hopefully, he'll do that between now and January, and we hope he'll be then fully fit, fully ready, and come back in our side in January. But he wants to do that. He's missed the supporters so much, and he really loves him. Saturday, he loves the support that you've given him, and I'm sure you're going to see him in the Premiership sometime this season. I'm sure of that.
Joe Jordan, right next to Peter Storrie. Joe, I think it was this day about 2 years ago, Toddy was training before the Aston Villa game on a Saturday, and he turned his knee and hardly kicked a ball since. What exactly has he been through over this past couple of years?
Well, it's been a horrendous time for him. I actually seen him in a pre-season friendly about 2 years ago, just before it happened down at Exeter. And he played that day with Teddy Sheringham and really looked the part. And he was looking forward to playing in the Premier League, but he's went through a tough time, mentally and physically. I think it was that period of time he's had 1 or 2 comebacks. But I think the stage, as Peter has described, is what is necessary. He played in the reserves last night, but a player like Torrie, he needs to stretch himself. He needs to get playing at a level where he can get his sharpness and get his goal scoring touch back, and then hopefully he can come back and join us and play in the Premier League. But it's been a tough time for him, but he's shown a lot of character.
I think we all agree with those sentiments. Staying on the theme of transfers, there's another question from the floor. It comes from Mrs. Liz Kinnix. She's from Leon Solent, in Hampshire, of course. And Steve will just wander over to the microphone. And it might be a question of, are there any more arrivals coming to Fratton Park?
Well, the transfer window closes at the end of August, and Pompey confident of signing a couple of more players, and are the club in pole position to sign Paddy Lewingula?
I think I've always said to you in the past that I never like to say exactly what position we're in on these, and I much prefer to do the deals and then give you the news rather than things here this morning. I would say with that one it's 50-50 at the moment on the striker. We're working on it hard. We're trying to change those odds so they're 60-40 in our favour, and we're very hopeful. We have got a couple of targets in that position, and also a couple of targets at centre back. And as Milan said earlier on today in the paper, that we're hopeful that we can bring those in next week. So we've got a couple of weeks now to the deadline, and but we're pretty confident those two, or a centre back and another four, will come in next week. But we all know this game. I'm afraid it's very, very strange. It can all change overnight, but we're hopeful.
Dejan, what have you made of the 7 new players here at Fratton Park, and how much would you like to see someone of the calibre of Paddy Lewingula arrive here?
Yeah, but to be fair, all excellent players. I knew them from I watched a lot of games 2 years ago. When I played in Holland, I knew lots about Robert, Andy O'Brien, lots of experienced players. And I think it's very, very positive signing for Portsmouth Football Club for the future as well. And I think with those players, with those 7 players, we can do something else, not only to survive in the Premiership, for sure.
Okay, let's throw it over to the floor. Any questions on team issues, players at all that you would like to ask ahead of the new season? So there's a gentleman in the front over here, Steve, first of all. Just running over.
Cyril Saunders from Drayton. According to Radio Solent this evening, it reported that Collins Musambula will miss Saturday's match versus Spurs. What is the injury? How long will he be out? And was it a result of friendly fire?
So I think that's one for you. You've been with the players today, obviously.
Surprisingly, it looks not too bad, but we have gone through from for the last well over a month now. We've been trying to get the players fit, to get a player to come in, and he certainly looked after himself, and his general fitness is fine, but to get a player to the degree of fitness is necessary to play in the Premier League or in any league, you've got to be very careful that you don't introduce him to that too early. But he did look okay today, but as far as I know, he hasn't played games, certainly to the standard of the games that we have played, the friendlies that we played against. Even though the division teams have been played at a decent pace, and then we've played the likes of Bordeaux and Monaco and Inter Milan. So I don't know if he's up to that mark yet, but he ain't got an injury. He's fitting well.
The Collins and Basuma deal, it was a strange one. And how did you come across him? What was the story?
Well, it was, we've been looking at players for a while in that area. Funny enough, I had one of our supporters from South Africa for about 6 months. They've been writing in about this guy, given his name. So we knew a little bit about him from there. Obviously, Bellamy's got a very extensive knowledge of players playing around the world. And then the agents that dealt with the extra deal were going to take him to Bolton, and as was Robert was going to go to Bolton, and Viafara was going to go to Bolton. So I don't. Milan and I are just wondering whether we should go to Bolton away this year. Very popular. So we managed to jump in and take the deal. It's a calculated risk. There's no doubt about that. The boy looks as if he's got a talent. He's got a fantastic left foot, and he scores goals. But he's got to adjust to the Premiership. So as Joe said, give him time. But it was a complicated deal. The reason why I had to go to the Home Office was a crazy one, really. They have a written rule that the teams have got to be in the top 70. They do it on an average over 2 years. Now, Zambia was 70.33. So Joe and I had to go up and we lied a bit, Joe, didn't we, really? A couple of little fibs about how often you looking after South Africa and watching play, but there we got it through, and let's hope he's going to be an exciting talent. The great thing about it, no one's going to know anything about him, the opposition's not going to know anything about him. He looks very, very similar to Yakubu, although he's very left-footed, Joe, and he's all left foot. I think he might just be a bit of a surprise. But nice lad, and I think he's going to do all right.
What's he like, Dejan? Did you defend against him today at the Wellington training ground?
Yes, but to be fair, I saw him today first time on the training session. He was sharp, and he's dangerous, but it's time to show again, every player needs time in training. Especially abroad player, they need a couple of months, to adapt for English football. Especially, I think he doesn't speak very well English, and for sure he needs time. But it's going to be a big sign for us.
Another signing that the club made, Azar Carreras. Is he fit, Joe, for Saturday? He took a bit of a knock against Den Haag.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. He has trained in a couple of days, but he came back with the lads today. He got 6 stitches, and then he had just above his knee. But I don't think that'll prevent him. I think he'll be good and anything else.
There's a number of, I suppose, contentious selection issues. One or two that I've just written down here, not least Gregory Vignal against Matthew Taylor for the left full-back slot. Can you give us any clues who may start there?
Well, what a manager would want at the start of the season is to have a few selection problems. He wants a squad that's going to be competing for that place, and certainly that is what you want at the Premier League standard. You want players throughout the team that looking at their performance, if they don't do the business, then someone who can then step in and take that first in spot. So I don't think it's just like you want it all over the pitch.
I imagine all the supporters out here have been to one or two of the pre-season friendlies. What do you think? Do you have a little vote? Green, red cards. Those of you that feel that Matthew Taylor should start at left side of defence on Saturday raise a green card, and those that feel Gregory Vignal should get that slot, you can see a red one. Quite strong appreciation for the audience, but it's another tricky one for Alan Ferrano, and I'm sure he'll make it Saturday afternoon. Has Alan decided which starting 11 he wants for Saturday yet?
Well, he hasn't really shown his hand in that respect. He can make it a bit like it tomorrow when we do 7 set pieces. But I think in his mind he has got the structure of his team. But you're saying about Ozzy Gardas coming back. Is he going to be? But I say he will be, and then hopefully he will come through tomorrow. But I don't think there's too many selection problems through injury. But I don't think he'll show his hand until at least tomorrow, even Saturday morning.
One player we haven't mentioned this evening, the former Portsmouth Football Club captain Ariane Deseu, who left the club this morning and said goodbye to everybody. It was quite a sad occasion, I suppose. He's given a lot to this club over the last 3 years. Dejan, you're possibly following in his footsteps. Just a passing thought, what did Arjan bring to the club?
I want to say only that me and Arjan, we got great relationship over the last 2 years, you know, and on the field, off the field as well. We play well together, but you know, he feels that he needs time to move on. I'm a little bit disappointed that Arjan left, because I think every player must to challenge for own position or own place in the team, and especially Arjan is 36 years old, you know. To be fair, I'm not here also, I don't know if I've been starting 11 maybe on Saturday or another place. We got 24 quality players in the team. And what I said, I'm a little bit disappointed that Arjan left like that, you know. I think she should stay and fight for his position here in this club.
The back will speak to in just a moment. Peter, just what Dejan has had to say. It wasn't an easy situation with Arjan. What can you tell us?
Well, I think it's probably a question more for Milan. Milan had a discussion with Harry Mandaric. It is obviously a very, very disappointing situation. But Milan can update you a little bit more, I think.
Well, as I say, it's always disappointing when you have a player that has done so well for us and he leaves, and unfortunately this is the situation, and I was quite disappointed because Arjan came to me and he said, Chairman, you have to understand me, you know, because I need to play every game, I need to have security of the manager. Says, Arjan, there is no such thing, I'm 30 plus years in football business, I never seen anyone demanding that. As Dejan says, we have 23, 25 players. You have to be all challenging for the number one, for those 11 spots. And that's what football is all about. Football is not 11 players. Football is the squad that is selected for the season. And I said, well, look, just let's see if we can do it, you know, if we can get together, and we're willing, we'd love to keep you here. He says, well, then I need another year. So, okay, I said, no problem. I think due to your contribution to this club, I'm quite sure we'll organize that. And I said, we'll give you another year and we want you to be with us. You know, we need continuation, we need you, you'll be our captain, you've done well, and we're going to give you that respect back. So before too long, you know, he stopped talking to manager and came after Peter. He wants to go, and I was quite disappointed in the last 48 hours, to be honest with you. Last night on the television, I turned the television on, I see him in a Wigan uniforms there, and giving the interview and shaking hands with the coaching staff, and never asked the manager to go, you know, to leave the training facility and to go over there. And I think what we should do, we should just look at this. He was a great player for us, he's done well for us. We should always remember me in that memory like that, but it's a little bit disappointing because maybe I'm too harsh for the players who don't want to play for us, for Portsmouth, and that's my problem. I want every player that has desire, has bursting desire, to play for us and stay with us. He wanted to go for a reason that I don't understand, and that's all I can say. I'm sorry to say that, it's a disappointing. He's been great member of our family here, but life goes on. We have a new squad, a lot of good players. We've got good captain over there that is totally professional, good players. So we go on and enjoy the season. Let's forget about everything else.
Back of the room, the gentleman would like to make.
Good evening, Aggie Boy, going back on Todorov, okay, he was injured last season. What about Pericard? Is he going out alone, and will he be a big future in Pompey?
Vince's done very well. There was a little problem about 3/4 of the way through pre-season training, but he went to see someone in France and he's given the all clear. He has had a couple of injuries over a year, and the last one was so unfortunate, happened out here in the reserve game. But that was his crucial. He's come through that, and he's made big steps. But it's still early doors for Vincent as well. Wait a long time. but he's back. He hasn't missed a training session, and he's made very good progress. But there's progress still to be made as far as Vincent's concerned.
Any more issues from the floor on player issues, and are you happy with the squad that we have assembled here this evening? Guy with the blue t-shirt here, Steve. Oh, sorry, we'll come next to the bar over there. Sorry, the gentleman leant against the bar. We'll come back to you, so you can get another pint in first.
Andrew Shaw, Hillsborough, yeah? I hear talk of us going up for either defender or a new striker. In my opinion, the midfield, central midfield is the weakest position. Are we going to be going after another central midfielder after these now Francis?
Well, Damian Francis seemed to be close at one stage. I assume that one's gone now, is it?
Well, I think
sorry, I've been in the last.
The choice of what areas the team wants to be strengthened is down to the manager. It's down to what areas he feels is his priority. At the moment, he wants to bring another striker in and obviously a central defender. Whether he wants to bring another midfield in, we've still got a couple of weeks to look at that. But first and foremost, there'll be something that he will decide on.
There was a point over at the bar, sir.
Yeah, Graham Mitchell from Portsmouth. I appreciate what Mandaric Milan was saying about wanting players who want to play for Portsmouth. Loa seems to be one of those players who really wants to play for Portsmouth. So I'm a bit disappointed to read Alan Perrin quoted as saying he would sell him because he needs the money.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Lua wants to play for Portsmouth, and Portsmouth wants Lua as well. I want him. Alan Perrin wants him. There is no such thing. I think what happened yesterday, it was lost a little bit in translation, and please understand, it's a little bit hard from the French to English. It's enough hard from Scottish to English. It took me 2 years to understand Joe. Now, Alan is only here for 2 months, so I think the newspaper, I have to say, twisted a little bit around what Alan says. He says this: Lua is not for sale, but if he's selling one day, we'll buy other players. And, that applies for every player, and what he did in generally. But yet today, they was asked again, which is not fair. I don't know why people are picking and pointing at Lua, why they're, even and talking about that. He's just another player, happened to be a good player in part of the squad. So Lua is happy, as he said. Alan respects him, likes him, he's part of the squad, and he's going to stay with us. End of the story.
I spoke to Lamar Loa this lunchtime, and he told me that he would like to stay at this football club for life if he has his way because of the fans. Point over on the right-hand side of the Milan Mandaric.
Good evening, this is John Tucker from Marchwood. Just like to ask now. Thank you, colleagues. Just like to ask Milan, when we go to some of these players, we've been quoted as being linked with a lot of players. Are we getting priced out of the market? Have you got a ceiling in your own mind? A little bit suspicious of that we get priced out of real quality. Could you answer that, please?
How's the life in Southampton in Champions League? Well, I don't think you can say this, because if you look at 10 other clubs, let's say, okay, of course we're not competing with Chelsea and with Liverpool and Man U, but we're still competing maybe with the 10, 15 other clubs. And if you look at the quality of the players that came on the market this season, and look at 7 players we acquired, I got nothing to be embarrassed, okay? There's no any signs of the ceilings, there is no any signs of taking less quality. So if you have different information and different feelings, I'd like you to tell us that, okay? So if you can help me something, that I'm missing something, I'll listen to you. But no, we don't have any ceilings. We're looking for another 3 players. We're looking for a strong defender. We're looking for another good striker, and we're looking for a midfield player as well. So I don't know how to answer the other differently.
On the same
we never had a feelings. We never had feelings here when we were ready to jump in and give everything we can, you know, financially, effort-wise, energy-wise, to go in Premier Division. We demonstrated that time. We'll do it. We've done it. And we're going to do everything here to stay and stabilize ourselves in Premier Division. So we are recruiting those players, and I think our management and Peter and the rest of us have done a great job.
On the same theme, Milan, there is a question via email from an overseas fan. He lives in India. His name is Simon Denya, and I'll read it just as it's arrived on my desk this morning. No one doubts the hard work put in by the management over the summer and the excellent signings we've made, but there's some concern about finances. Pompey should have raised around £10 million from the sale of Yakubu, Kwasi, Faye and effectively Camera. Several other high earners have also been shipped out, but it looks like Alan Paran has had to work with a significantly smaller transfer budget. So where has the money gone? To finance the ground, to pay Milan back for money he has loaned to us, both completely understandable of course, but interesting to know the answer.
Well, if you really look at Peter, you want to come on this one? What we are spending this year, it's about 25.
25. I find the question laughable.
It's unbelievable.
Somebody hasn't done their figures or their facts.
Yeah. We're spending £25 million for our squad, for salaries, for salaries, the fees, the transfer fees, and that's by far more than what we spent last year. So if you can put your numbers together, whether it's this gentleman or anything else, you'll find out that we are not, pulling anything back.
Okay, we've got around about 10 minutes to go now. You're listening to BBC Radio Solent Sport. It's the Pompey Fans Football Forum. We're live in the Milan Mandaric suite at Fratton Park with the chairman himself, Milan Mandaric, Peter Storrie, Joe Jordan, and the new likely team captain, Dejan Stefanovic. We're live on 96.1 FM, 103.8 FM, Capture Digital Radio, and live on the internet as well at bbc.co.uk/Capture. We're going to throw it to the floor for the final 10 minutes now, and Steve, you have a question towards the back of the room.
Yes, good evening. Glenn Duggan from Fairham. I can understand much of what you're doing with regards to the transfer market. But there was one transfer last season that many of us fans just could not understand, and that was Chalkius coming into goal. And could you just tell us the background? Because we understand that Xhaka was, there was a problem with Xhaka, Hislop, etc. But we as fans just could not understand that transfer.
We're talking about Kostas Chalkias, the Greek goalkeeper who was thrown straight into the South Coast derby against Southampton and didn't really endear himself too quickly with the fans. And Milan, would you like to?
Can I make it very simple and very easy? We made mistake.
Well said, that man.
Have you still got to say?
Doesn't have it. I mean, it was something that happened. It was something down the time. Hasn't worked out. We're trying to move the player on, but we've all been in this game a lot of years. Every club and everywhere along makes mistakes in players. You can never get it 100% right. That happens, and it'll happen again. There's no doubt about it. We try to be as correct as we can with every single player we bring in, but you just can't get it 100% right.
Question from the floor.
Good evening, man. Good evening, gentlemen. Derek Steele, Bishop's Waltham. Just a question with regards to the training facilities. Is there any progress being made since last year on these training facilities? In other words, bringing them back into Portsmouth or towards that area?
That's a good question, and again, what we did currently now, we did spend the money during the summertime to improve the facilities and allow coaching staff and manager to do a lot more better job as far as that goes. Where we are today, we are working very hard to find a piece of land. I think, fingers crossed, they're very close to really, we're looking serious with piece of land which is a lot closer than one we have now. We would love to develop our all sports center. That's my next project, you know, and I'm going to bring you up to date. Give me just a little time. That's my next project after we just get this stadium going, which we started today. But I believe in the next 30 days we might be able to bring you up to date. We are very aggressively looking to find a piece of land and have sports center and have training facilities and everything for the youngsters, for a reserve team, and specifically for our first team. So it's important. Again, you know, I came here to not very rich club that didn't have much, you know, so we're trying to catch up, and let's just be patient. That will happen. Thank you.
We've got around about 5 minutes to go, so we'll have the ready money round, a bit like catchphrase now. We'll throw it open to the floor. Steve will run around as quickly as he can, and we'll get a final thought from the panel as well on hopes and aspirations for the new season before we close. Sir.
Yeah, one for Milan, Jim Woodford from Gosport. You've got a good relationship with the media, and obviously things came to a head yesterday. You're introducing a new structure at the training ground, but can you tell us why sometimes you say you're not going to release players, you're not going to tell us who they are, and the next day we see you on Sky saying, yes, he's our target, he's on our list. I can't quite work that one out. 1 minute we're saying we're not saying, the next minute we are.
Well, it's a good question. That's exactly what I said earlier. They found that, and I just can't lie. I can't tell him, no, he's not, because he is. Because 3 days later, when we sign him or not sign him, you know, they're going to tell me why they didn't tell us. We're trying to not tell anyone, and we're not hiding from you that. But you know how that goes. You know, we have newspaper, we have media that is really digging in and trying to find who we're going to sign. As soon as they find the target, they call me or call somebody, says, are you on this player? I said, yes, we are, you know. I mean, because we are working on him, but while I'm disappointed to admit, you know, that they found it, I just can't say no, we're not, because if you tell him that...
Can't we say no comments?
Well, you know, I say that many times, but it's already there, and it's you know, nothing I can do.
Dejan, how well publicised was your move? What do you remember about coming here, and was it all over the newspapers before you came to Fratton Park?
First of all, I think I played with national team against England, and I meet Chairman Harry Redknapp in Leicester Hotel, and I got good impression about the club, with Chairman as well, and I decided to sign for the club. But in that moment, nobody knows. I think nothing in my club as well. I don't know in England, but we do secret.
Just 3 minutes to go now. Another question from the floor. At the back, a spectacled gentleman with a nice gold chain around his neck.
Colin Arnold from Portsmouth. It's probably directed at Peter more than anyone. To deal with the shirts and the issue that they were supposed to be delivered if you booked them over the internet, I'm still waiting for mine.
I didn't know about the problem until this evening.
2 minutes to go. Just very quickly across the top table here. Thoughts and aspirations ahead of the new season. First of all, Joe Jordan on my left. Joe, 15 seconds even. What are you hoping for?
I'm glad everybody else know. I'm looking forward to the season. It's a great opening game. Full house, Tottenham. They've brought in 1 or 2 stars as well.
Can we beat Tottenham?
Yes, no question.
There's only 4 or 5 points every season between 9th and 15th. I hope we're going to be at the top of that little pile of 5 points.
I'm not going to talk about points. I'm going to just say one thing. I wish you and all our supporters happy time and enjoy the season. You deserve it. Thank you.
Going to be the captain, Dejan Stefanovic, it's good to have you on board for the season and looking after the team. What are you
my wish is to be, I think, the top 10 in the Premiership, and I'd like to tell you that we are all ready for first game on Saturday, and I hope we can take 3 points Saturday.
You've been listening to the BBC Radio Solent Sport Football Fans Forum. We've been live here at Fratton Park around about the last hour. It just leaves me to say thank you very much to Joe Jordan, to Peter Storrie, to Milan Mandaric and to Dejan Stefanovic. A reminder that Pompey Live begins again this Saturday. Lawrence Erdman and myself. Ex-Pompey defender Paul Hardiman over the far side of the room. Every Pompey game this season. Commercial-free commentary I had. 9:99 AM on the medium wave band for home matches and 96.1 FM away from home. We have a big round of applause.